guys, it is Aoife from Fred Weasley Died Laughing, and I'm here to do a Christmas tag video for you guys today. I'm going to do the Christmas Carol book tag, which was created by Lauren over at Lauren Wade. I'll leave her link down below. And I'm also wearing my Humbug Christmas hat. It's a lovely black festive colour as well. Scrooge would love it. So I'm going to go straight on into the questions, which is obviously all themed around the Christmas Carol, which I absolutely love. I love the Muppets Christmas Carol, but I will say one of the other Christmas carols I really like is the animated version that Jim Carrey was in a good few years ago. I just think that's just a gorgeous rendition of this Christmas Carol. Yeah, I just really like it. So yeah, let me know if you like that one too. I know the Muppets tends to be an all-time favourites, which I do enjoy, but I do really like that animated version as well. So the first question is The Ghost of Christmas Past, a book that was a childhood favourite. And for this one, I have chosen Silver Bunbury by Eli Mitchell. I've talked about this briefly before on my channel, haven't talked about it in a good while, but this is basically a horse, this is basically a book all about a horse, a wild horse in Australia, and it's about this horse growing up, being in like this wild herd of horses, and then growing up and kind of getting a herd of his own, and he is this gorgeous silver colour, which is really rare, so loads of people, anytime people humans see him, they always want to capture him, so he kind of spends like a lot of his life evading capture from humans, and it's just so fun. There's loads of different there's like a whole series about all the Silver Bunbury. We follow Thora, who is the main horse in this one, and then in later books we also follow his daughter and his great-granddaughter, and like all through his line, which is so fun, and they're all this gorgeous silver colour. I just love this book so much. I might actually reread this because now talking about it I really want to reread it again, and I just love it so much. Question 2 is A Ghost of Christmas Present, a recent book that you would think will become one of your all-time favourites. And one of my most favourite reads I think I've read this year is definitely Sorcery of Thorns, which was written by Margaret Robertson. This is just a really fun YA fantasy standalone book, and we're following just this really spunky main character, and we are following a world where books are magic and kind of have their own personalities. They can be evil, they can be good, they can be sassy, and it's just so much fun. I just really loved the magic in this. I just loved the characters. I loved the angsty romance that was in it. I just really enjoyed it a lot, so I definitely think I will 100% reread this. I want to get my own copy of it, but I will read it. I'll definitely be reading Margaret Robertson's other book, which is Enchantment of Ravens, which I do really want to read because I just really enjoyed her writing in this one, and yeah, just definitely one of my all-time favourites. Question 3 is The Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, a book coming out next year that you're most excited about. I've actually written 3 down because there's 3 books that I can think of. As I said, I'm not great at like remembering what books are coming out next year, so I had a little bit of a look at what I had added on my want to read on Goodreads. And I have a beautifully Foolish Endeavour by Hank Green, which is his second book. I read his first book, which the name of it is escaping at the moment, which is obviously the first book in this trilogy or duology. I'm not sure if it's trilogy, duology that he's writing, but I was so pleasantly surprised by it. I really enjoyed the writing. I really just enjoyed how the story went, what it explored. So I'm very much excited to read this one and see where he goes with the story. And yeah, I think it'll be really interesting. The Notorious Virtues by Alwyn Hamilton, I think, is some sort of sci-fi fantasy book, which is going to be written by Alwyn Hamilton, who wrote the Rebel of the Sand series. I love the Rebel of the Sand series. Really, I think it's a trilogy, the Rebel of the Sand trilogy. Really enjoyed that, so I'm definitely just excited to see what Alwyn Hamilton has out next. And from what I can remember from when I originally read the synopsis for this book, it sounded really good. So definitely something I am looking forward to reading and will pick up as soon as I can when it comes out. And the third one is The Girl in the Stars by Mark Lawrence. Mark Lawrence is one of my favourite all-time writers, particularly fantasy writers, because he writes fantasy. I've read pretty much all of his books except his sci-fi trilogy, which the first book is One Word Kill, which I do have on my Kindle, so I will be reading that one. But I've read all of his other fantasy books, and The Girl in the Stars is set in the same world as in Red Sister, the Red Sister trilogy. It's set in the same world, but it's set in the icy side of that world, which we only briefly kind of know about in Red Sister. So I'm so excited to see where he goes with this one because it's going to be very good. Question 4 is Humbug, a book that everyone else loves that you just can't stand. And for one of these recently was definitely The Luminous Dead by Caitlin Starling. This is a sci-fi kind of thriller-esque book about a woman who undertakes this kind of cave exploration in this on this planet, and she's doing it completely on her own with just this high-tech kind of suit on, and then a voice in her ear of the person who hired her to do this job is kind of guiding her through these tunnels, and it's a little bit like claustrophobic. It's quite dark. It's, you know, there seems to be something else in the tunnels with her, so it's a little bit eerie, but I just found it really boring. I just found it like looped around a lot, and I felt like I was just getting a repetition of things all the time, and it just didn't do it for me at all. But I've heard some really, really good reviews. This, first of all, I just been looking forward to it because it sounded really good, and then there's other book reviewers like Riley Marie and Cece from Province of a Book Nerd that really, really enjoyed this book, gave it 5 out of 5 stars. They raved about it, but I really didn't like it. So yeah, that's definitely one I think is an unpopular opinion from me, that I just didn't enjoy it. So question 5 is Bob Cratchit, an old dependable they always recommend, and for me it's probably one of the original fantasy series and fantasy authors that I fell in love with, and that's the Black Magician trilogy by Trudy Canavan. This is the first book of the Magician's Guild. I adore this trilogy. I reread it every 2 years just to get back into the world. I just think it's a brilliant world. Her character is amazing. The magic system in it is so good and so well developed. And the world is well developed. The world building is great in this. I just think it's such a great series. I think Trudy Canavan is a really talented writer, and particularly in this world. She's done a few other, she's a follow-on trilogy from this one, and then she's also has kind of standalone books within the same world. I just love this world so much, and yeah, definitely one I want to revisit soon. Really, really love it. Definitely recommend. I always recommend this to people who like fantasy, and it's kind of an older one now, so I think some people have forgotten about it, but it's definitely one, if you do really enjoy fantasy books, to pick up because it's brilliant. Question 6 is Tiny Tim, an underhyped book that you think deserves more love. I'm going to go for 2 for this one. I have Spinning Starlight by R.C. Lewis, which is a YA sci-fi book I read a few years ago. It's a retelling of the Wild Swans, and we are following a girl who ends up on this other planet. She's kind of the heir to this like technology company, and something happens where there's kind of like treachery within this company, and she ends up in this planet, this like other planet, kind of trapped, and she has no voice. Her voice has been taken away from her, and she basically has to figure out how to communicate with the other people on this planet and figure out a way to get home and a way to save her family from people who are trying to basically take everything away from them. And it's just really, really good. It was one that just really surprised me, and I just really enjoyed it. And another one that I think is always underhyped, I don't know why not more people talk about this, is The Copper Promise by Jen Williams, which is another fantasy series, and it involves just like this really great trio of kind of friends, kind of not friends. A dragon, it follows like dragon children. There's so much action in it, so much magic, so much intrigue. So good, and I do really recommend it. I really, really enjoyed it. Yeah, and I think more people, I haven't seen that many people talk about this trilogy, and I really think more people should because it's so good. Question 7 is Today, Why It's Christmas Day. What's a book that always gets you in the mood for Christmas apart from A Christmas Carol? And I actually don't really read like books every year for Christmas to get me in the Christmassy mood, but I have 2 books that I think I read around Christmas time. So they just kind of remind me of Christmas. They don't necessarily make me feel Christmassy, but they remind me of Christmas. And I think when I want to read them, I probably want to read them at Christmas time again. So the first one is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. This might seem like a weird choice, but it's because I originally read this at Christmas time, and so it just reminds me of Christmas. And it's just a lovely, like the cover as well, that blue cover kind of reminds me of winter, and there's parts of this that are set in winter time, so yeah, it's one that kind of has a cold atmosphere. Then another one is kind of obvious, is The Snow Child by A.O. and Ivy. Obviously this is set in Alaska, it's set in the snow, it's set at a really, really cold time of year, and yeah, it's very atmospheric, and the story in this is just lovely. There's kind of like very subtle hints of magic in it that are gorgeous, and I just love the story of this one as well. So this is definitely one as well that reminds me a lot of Christmas. So yeah, really enjoyed that. Question 8 is the Muppet Christmas Carol, your favourite film adaptation of a book. And for me, I have 2. Neither of them are Christmassy. One is Catching Fire, so the second book in the Hunger Games trilogy. Catching Fire, I think, is just such a great movie. It's just one of the best book to movie adaptations I think ever. I think it's just, when they are in the arena, it's just done so, so well. Really, really love that one. And then I also really, really enjoy Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. It's probably one of my favourite movies in the Harry Potter series. So that's all the questions. I'm not going to tag anyone, seeing this is like Christmas Eve, so yeah. If you want to do it, please do it. I tag you. This was a great tag, and I hope everyone has a really, really nice Christmas, because I probably won't be posting again until after Christmas. So I hope everyone has an amazing Christmas, and I'll see you guys again next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.